and we are back. We are United by Rice, where we talk about all things related to AA and HPI in entertainment, creative spaces, and beyond. So, I'm one of your hosts, Junko.
And this is Ben. And later this episode, we'll welcome a couple Academy Award, like 2026 Academy Award directors to our show,
Or
Christalyn Hampton,
nominees. We're in nominees.
nominees. I'm just predicting. I'm very optimistic.
That's
Uh,
true. Very true.
Christalyn Hampton and Geeta Gandbhir. And they not, as I mentioned, the two of them have worked on one film that's nominated,
Mm,
and then
right.
Geetha herself has two films that are nominated. So we'll go into some detail about that in a little bit, and certainly during the interview. But I think I'll just turn it over to you, Junko.
Hmm.
The Olympics are over.
Yeah.
Yesterday morning, I'm still tired from it because I woke up at 5 to
Right.
watch USA beat Canada. It was
Yeah.
an epic, epic game.
I heard.
Um,
I heard.
you didn't wake yourself up to watch it?
No, not really. I just watched the highlights via the news, so that is more than enough for me. I don't even know. I mean, I know the general rules, but
Mm.
to this day, I've only been to one ice hockey game in LA, which was it was like Edmonton Oilers versus the
Ooh.
Kings.
Well, how long
Uh
ago was that?
oh, a long time ago,
Was
like
Wayne Gretzky
15.
on your team?
No, post,
Okay.
post. No, no, no.
Okay. Okay.
Even
Because that
I
would have
would
been
know that
kind
name,
that would
right?
have been kind of cool because he was on the Kings and he came from Edmonton.
Right. No, it
Yeah.
wasn't nothing special
I
like
may
that.
be completely isolating our mostly Asian audience completely by talking about hockey right now. Who knows?
I don't know. There's some Asian players, I'm sure, in the hockey world.
A
Uh,
couple, a couple.
yeah, like I
Yes.
still to this day don't quite understand like the rules around fighting. But also, I
Mm.
did hear on the news that at the Olympics you're not allowed to fight, and if you are, you're disqualified. So I guess a Canadian player didn't quite like remember that, and he started a fight, and both players
Although
were
he did,
ejected.
um, not in this particular game.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, no,
They're,
not in this game.
yeah.
Yeah, in the
And I think,
prelims.
honestly, I think they were calling it pretty loose because of that, because I don't think the refs wanted anybody kicked out. So even though there was a couple
Yeah.
moments where you could argue, hey, they're fighting, that guy's
Yeah.
throwing a punch, they didn't
Yeah.
actually do anything
Ah,
about it.
I see, I
Yeah.
see. So no, I did go to college in Maine. So
Yeah.
our
Big hockey land.
yes,
Yes.
yes. So our, I went to a small liberal arts college, which was generally Division 3 or non-existent or club level. But our ice hockey team was actually D2, and
Hmm.
we in our college would like recruit from Canada, kind of
Okay.
probably like
Yeah.
everyone else.
Yeah.
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 So that was, and I only went to one ice hockey game during my college career, which was
Okay.
enough. Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah. Well, congrats to anyone who was rooting for Team USA. It
Apparently,
was,
either 5 a.m. on the West Coast or 8 a.m. on the East
yeah.
Coast.
I tell you, I did not regret getting up at all from like the first minute. It was
Yeah.
just exhilarating, and it makes me wonder why I
Wow.
don't watch more hockey. To be honest, like
Ah.
we were talking offline, but the
Yeah. Did you go anywhere to see the game,
no,
or
I mean, I
just
was
rolled out of
in
bed?
bed. I literally just turned on the TV
Okay.
in my
Because,
bedroom.
yeah, like here locally, they were going to bars that were open. Because, like, it's
Sure.
LA, if it's World Cup, they're going to have bars open at all hours of
Mm,
the night to catch a game. So, same thing with the Olympics. So, they're interviewing all these people who are like there since
mm,
5 a.m. Yep. Yep.
yeah.
Ooh,
Great
hardcore.
game though. Great game though.
Yeah.
It really was
Because it
exciting.
went
It was
into
like
overtime, right?
went into
Yeah,
overtime,
yeah,
and
yeah,
then
yeah.
and I think the reason why like international hockey and playoff hockey are so fun is it just is played at another speed. It's I don't know if you know this, but like most sports, you take basketball, right?
Mm-hmm.
Most of your best players play 30, maybe close to 35 minutes of a 48-minute game.
Mm.
But in hockey, most of your best players still only play like barely over 20 minutes. They barely play a third of the match
Mm.
because it is so tiring, right? They're going
Yeah,
back and
yeah,
forth and
yeah.
they have to rotate like every couple minutes.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but during the playoffs, they really just are. or in international hockey, they are all in and they
Yeah.
are putting everything they have out there. It's just so
Huh.
fun. So,
Oh,
and the first
I
time
didn't
they've
know
won,
that. Yeah.
the U.S. has won since 1980
Yep.
because,
Did you hear about that?
back then it was called the Miracle on Ice, and the U.S. is never favored. So,
Yep.
anyway,
Yeah. Oh, that's cool.
do you have a favorite Olympic sport? Were you excited about any part of the Olympics?
At first, I was excited about curling, but like everyone else, there's too much curling programming, so we all got sick of it. So I'm like, okay,
There was a
I'm
lot. I,
uncurled.
I I don't actually know what was happening, Junko. Is there like a curling phenomenon that's why they had it on TV all the time?
Yeah, I
Do
think
people
there
really love
was.
curling?
Yeah, I think there was a build up to it, and then I think they just really pushed it. Yeah, they just pushed it. Honestly,
Is this like
and then
the
yeah,
William Hunn American Idol thing that it's just so ridiculous that that's
uh,
why people watch it?
maybe. Well, no, actually, it's really. I actually found it very comforting to just have it on the back because it's more of a chess game. So that's why it's really slow. But what's
Mm.
interesting is that you can hear them planning out their moves. So in chess, like you just have to wait for the person to make their move. But at least in curly, you can actively see them making their choices and decisions. But it's not like I know all the rules. I kind of got the idea after having it in the background and kind of paying attention
I,
to it
I
occasionally.
I just don't
Yeah.
buy it. I feel like they're giving medals for people that are really good at sweeping. It's like what is the athleticism that is being displayed here?
It's definitely more brainiac for sure. It's the difference between like scaling a wall in, 2 minutes versus bouldering, which is just like, you know, choosing the correct path. It's more brain.
But
Is kind of how I
there's
see
no
it.
Olympic medal for bouldering or chess or Rubik's Cube. Like it's like
Well,
it
they
to
do
me it's
have it
like
for
that
wall
level.
climbing though.
But
So,
that's like speed. That's different.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
like a
yeah, yeah, yeah.
race, you know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Anyway, I don't
Anyway.
I with all due respect to anyone who loves curling or is
Curlers.
a curler listening, I just don't get it.
Yeah,
I don't
so
get it.
aside from that, yeah, I guess figure skating, but a lot of it was after the fact. So I would hear that, like was Eileen Lou? Yeah, had one.
Alyssa.
Alyssa, thank you.
Yep.
Alyssa Lou had one, so I was like, oh, let me go watch it now. Or yeah, so it was very loose. I don't think I really. I guess some of the scary ass jumpy things
Mm,
are. I'll watch it once or twice
sure.
because it looks scary, and I'm like, why would you do that?
So scary. Most of the skiing things and snowboarding things look scary to me,
Yeah, the high jump, the
Yeah.
half pipe thing, and like,
Yeah.
these people like the half pipe, like someone landing backwards at like 40 miles an hour, setting up for the next jump. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks
Yeah,
great
the
though.
figure skating was a lot of fun because of Alyssa Liu. They do
Yeah.
have a little bit of a I felt like I don't know, did you have to have Peacock to watch anything in
Oh,
the Olympics live? I felt like there was a
oh,
television
live.
problem in general, right?
Oh,
Like if you
well,
just
let's
turned
see.
on regular NBC,
Yeah.
you weren't watching anything live. You had to have Peacock, and even on Peacock there were like multiple boxes and you didn't
Yeah,
know which
yeah.
ones were live and which ones were
That's true.
highlights. I
Yeah.
feel like there's a little bit of a problem that streaming created.
Because I heard though that on the DirecTV side, the Olympics offering was actually quite good because
Mm,
they're using I forgot what is one of their branch NBC and then not FX. One of those other DirecTV
mm,
channels is owned
NBC.
by NBC, so actually I think in total there are about 3 Olympic streams.
Hmm.
Yeah, so my friend was actually having positive feedback on that. I was using the app primarily, and I noticed that like it would say it's live, but it's actually not. I'm like, what's going on?
Right.
And then I was like, oh, of course, time lag, but it's still kind
Yeah.
of confusing. Yeah. There's a bit of that. So I guess in that respect, to me, it was a little bit hard to watch. You could watch by choosing which sport, which was not a bad option. But yeah, it was a little bit. It's weird to. I think we're all used to a curated programming for the Olympics, and now we have choices.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
What do you think of uh, our president and vice president just attacking Olympic champions that all happen to be young Asian women? Like
Oh,
crazy, right? Like or the snowboarders. I don't know their specific events, but like Chloe Kim and that
yeah,
group,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
and then for different reasons, Eileen Gu,
yeah.
because she represents
Just
China.
right.
Just like the attacks on them, just it's not to me. It's nothing but racist. It just really,
Yeah, what's great though is like one thing is being attacked, but as having such a platform and being such athletes and having accomplished so much, like there's such a healthy generation, and they know
yes,
that they could. I mean, they can probably out social media anyone. You
and
know.
frankly, outspeak.
Yes.
Right? Like they are
Yeah.
all more well spoken than our
Yeah.
president,
Yeah.
and
Well,
therefore,
dude, that's not that hard.
exactly. But that's what I'm saying. Their comments resonate.
Ah.
They did such a great job of like taking the mic, like because some of these.
Mhm.
I know it's not a high bar, but some of these kids are like 16 years old, and
Yeah.
they're what
Yeah.
generation did we grow up in where we thought we'd be talking
Yeah.
shit about the
And
president,
I,
right?
yeah, and I was really like totally hands down with during the Brian Boitano, the Tara Lipinski, Nancy Kerrigan,
That's
Tanya Harding, that whole era. I'm like, I
sure.
remember all that.
Yeah.
Um, and so compared to that generation, um, there's so much more. You can see so much more independence in these athletes, but also like a healthy independence. Um, like well supported. Some of these
Well,
athletes, like
yeah.
in the Nancy Kerrigan era stuff, where it was not as healthy and not
Well,
as supportive.
this is a good like I don't know how much you paid attention to the Alyssa Liu story,
Yeah.
but that's it's you could kind of wrap up what you're saying in her story because first of all, she's a Bay Area kid, so congrats to her,
Right.
love her.
Yeah.
Um, she very deliberately, after the 22 Olympics retired.
Right.
It's like I'm done. This is not fun for me. Having to do what everybody tells me to do is not fun for me. And famously now, of course, the story everybody knows. But
The big comeback. Yep.
yeah, and I think I forgot what sparked it. She was watching some other athletic event and started to feel like, oh, her own competitiveness come
Yep.
out of it.
Yep.
And then she just does what she wants, and you can see she's like to me, she's like the Jennifer Lawrence of figure skating.
Ah.
Like this
Yeah,
just
yeah, yeah.
charming, says whatever's on her
Well,
mind.
Jennifer Lawrence when she first arrived in Hollywood, that because
Y-
after that, like she definitely had to like really defend herself against the press and it got really muddled. But when she first arrived in Hollywood, she
Yeah,
was that
yeah,
like
just
fresh, like I don't care about this Hollywood stuff. I'm just gonna do my work.
yeah,
She still does
yeah.
great work.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of how I see Alyssa in her
Uh
interviews. It's like this free
yeah.
spirit, I'm not gonna be on a diet. I'm going to dance. My dance routine's going to be more fun than it is elegant. And
Mm.
it's really cool that the judges took to her and she won the gold.
Yeah,
So
yeah. So I
that
think,
was cool.
on the political reader, being, I guess, thrust into a political context all of a sudden, I think simply said, I'm like, I think the kids will be all right.
Hope so. I hope so. I don't know how,
Yeah.
I don't know who's going to do it, but I hope so.
I mean, unless
Um,
like the feds go after their families, that's a whole different. Then
yeah,
we are
yeah,
catapulting ourselves into a whole different universe, alternate universe. But hopefully that will not happen. But
yeah.
yeah, actually, I'm like, yeah, I think they're gonna be great.
Well, I think this is a good segue, when you think
Yeah.
about kind of what's going on in the world. a lot of what goes on in the world inspires independent films and documentaries. And there's a couple documentaries that, as I talked about earlier, we talked about earlier, Geeta Gandbhir has her name behind two that are nominated.
Mm,
One is The Perfect Neighbor, which is actually showing on Netflix right now. It's a full-length documentary nominated. Also just won the Independent Spirit Award. So, I, I, maybe that means they're the favorite to win, or she's
mm,
the favorite to win as the director of the film. And then the second project, and we had the co-director on, Christalyn Hampton, join the interview as well, is for a short doc called "The Devil Is Busy." Um, and I'll talk about both of them really quickly. The Perfect Neighbor. First of all, neither of these films are your typical documentary in terms of
mm,
style.
mm.
And I'll be honest with you, I'm one of the I'm somewhat reluctant to turn on a documentary, right? If
Oh,
given
okay.
my choice of things to watch, documentary is not high on my list. I know some people who are all
Ah.
about
Oh
documentaries, but
yeah,
you know,
yeah,
but
yeah.
and
Like, well, I produce documentaries sometimes,
yeah,
so yeah.
yeah. And some of it is like, it's kind of the format's always like your narrator, your talking head, your Morgan
Mm-hmm.
Freeman voice. It's like great, but
Mm-hmm.
I like real drama.
Mm.
And I think the reason both of these films are being acknowledged is there's a lot of drama, and it's partially because they don't use those typical tools like a narrator or talking heads. So The Perfect Neighbor is, obviously the name is ironic. It's essentially about this woman who, um, in an actually I was going to say Atlanta, but The Devil's Busy is Atlanta, but
Oh, okay.
in a rural neighborhood where there's mixed race families all around and a
Mm-hmm.
lot of black families around. It's this lady that lives by herself
Mm-hmm.
and calls the police constantly to
Ah.
complain about mostly the black children
Mm. Oh, got it. Yeah.
that are playing and hanging out on the streets outside,
Mm-hmm.
in on a lawn that she perceives to be somewhat her property, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
And again, like without a narrator, the device that's being used is essentially the body cam
Mm-hmm.
footage
Mm-hmm.
collected over a timeline of events.
Mm.
And it starts with this woman, kind of, hey, these kids are, um, doing this and that. And you're only ever seeing the conversation that she's having with the police or the police are having with the neighbors. But you're hearing the neighbors describe, the language she's using, and clearly there's a racial thing going on here, right? But she
Right.
never uses that language with the police. So it's kind of this interesting,
Yeah.
not quite he said, she said, but you just have to kind of see it unfold.
Yeah.
It sadly ends in disastrous, um,
Yeah.
I won't spoil it, but um, that her level of anxiety for whatever reason just gets higher and higher, where
Right.
eventually it becomes violent. And,
Yeah.
by the end, you'll see whether justice is served or not. But
Right.
it is fascinating from beginning to end, very much a microcosm of what's going on all
Yeah.
across America.
That one's already on Netflix. The
That was on
documentary.
Netflix.
Got it.
And
Okay.
then The Devil is Busy is, I think it's about a 30-minute documentary short, um, on HBO Max. So it's already something that you can see. It's an
Mm-hmm.
HBO original. Again, Academy Award nominated. The log line here, and however I describe it, I don't think we'll describe it well enough. Because
Okay.
again, when I read the log line, I didn't want to
Yeah.
watch it.
Yeah.
When I
Yeah.
watched it, I was like, this is riveting, right? And and I'll be honest with you, when you told me you couldn't join the interview,
Yeah.
I was like, damn it. Like this film's about an abortion clinic. Like I don't want to be a man by myself interviewing two wonderful female directors without my co-host who can at least have that lens and that point of view. So I did my
Yeah.
best, Junko.
Yes.
Um,
I'm sure you did
but
fine.
it really is. It's like this. It's basically like a day in the life of a security guard who's in charge of keeping a clinic in Atlanta safe. right?
Mm-hmm.
For
Mm.
and the routine that she goes through to make sure that the practitioners and the patients are safe. And she's doing this in the face of like protesters that are out there on a daily basis with a megaphone, basically
Right.
screaming
Right.
and preaching in a peaceful way,
Mm.
at least as depicted, but preaching to, all these people that are coming in. You could hear it through the walls about
Mm.
basically, you're committing black genocide, you're doing this. Of course,
Yeah.
it's white men protesting and
Uh,
largely,
uh,
African American or Black American
right.
patrons. So it's,
Yep.
something in common with these films is
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
there's a racial element to it, of course.
Yeah.
Um, Again, no narrator, no talking heads. It just follows this just kind of amazing woman. I mean, you talk
Mhm.
about not all women, not all heroes wear capes, right? That's the
Right. Right.
that's the
Right.
saying.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Yeah.
the young woman that's in this film, what she goes through on a daily basis, the what she has to tap into in
Uh
terms of
huh.
her own faith
Yeah.
to do this is pretty breathtaking. Like it
Mm.
doesn't, like, again, when I say I don't want to dive into a film about the topic of Roe versus Wade, I mean that, right? Because it's going to be
Right.
heavy
Right.
and
Right. Right.
and
Right.
and usually preachy.
Yeah.
I don't mean to say it in any other way than that,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
this film is, it was riveting. So I think
Huh.
anybody who watches it
Yeah.
will take a lot of it. So, hands off to Geeta Gandbhir. She's I guess we call South Asian or Asian Indian
Mhm.
director. Clearly has a very powerful voice in documentary filmmaking right now.
Yeah.
Their first Indian director to have two different films nominated for the Oscars. First woman to have two
Yep.
different films
Yep.
nominated. And frankly, how many men have had two different films
Yeah.
nominated for an Oscar in the
Right.
same
Right.
year,
Right. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. But yeah, hats
it's
off to you, Ben, for your rising to the occasion. Even though it's ah, well, as I like to say, 100% of abortions do involve sperm.
yeah. Well, look, that is actually, I think there's a point in the film
Mm-hmm.
where the security guard says something along those lines. It's like there's all these men saying how terrible it is for these women to do this. They're not accepting their role in it, right? You can't say it any more
Yeah,
plainly than
and
that, right?
everything is, case by case. But again,
Yeah.
100% of abortions do involve sperm. So no, I think no, I think you like as a male, you definitely have a seat at the table. You have to have a seat at the table.
Yes, I have to
You have
have
to
a
be
seat at the
part of the
table.
yeah, you have to
Yeah.
you have to be part of the conversation if
Yeah.
we're gonna talk about it and also come up with future solutions. So,
Yeah. But you get
props
what
to you
I'm
for
saying.
rising to the occasion, though.
You get what I'm saying? Like
I hear you.
approaching
Yeah,
this
yeah.
interview, knowing how fiery that topic can be in general across obviously we don't consider that I think we see the world the same way
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
whatnot. But I'm not one to be heavily filtered in what I say. So
Oh,
in an interview
really?
like
I
that, I had
totally
to be.
think.
You
Really?
think so? I have
I
to. I
don't.
felt like I had to be more careful.
I feel like you think out your questions. Like, yeah. I think. I feel like you're always very thoughtful and reflective about your what you're about to say. At least that's what
Yeah.
it looks like to me. So.
Well, definitely go watch it. Again, Geeta
Yeah.
Gandbhir, Christalyn Hampton, we were really proud to have them on. It's a really good like director week for us. We had Amy
Mm-hmm. Amy
weighing
Wang.
from
Yep.
Slanted, and then these documentaries, and we've got more coming. We've got some exciting stuff coming, so I'm excited to
Yeah.
start to reveal some of the potential guests.
Yep.
Um, any other thoughts, Junko, on the week or what's ahead? Anything you're looking forward to?
Well, in this moment, I was inspired to make banana bread this morning, so I was gonna go get a slice of banana bread. So that's what
Because
I'm
it's
looking forward to.
national, because you have to give the reason.
Oh, apparently it's National Banana Bread Day today.
February 23rd. Who knew?
You know.
I like it when it's like, we will give you a free cup of coffee because it's coffee day or
Coffee.
donut day.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
like it where I have to make something. That doesn't seem like the right use of giving someone a national day.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Anyway.
we've been United by Rice. Thanks for joining us. You can hear us on Spotify, iHeartRadio, and YouTube. And then United by Rice podcast is our Instagram handle. Please follow us there as well. Thank you, and have a great week.
Thanks, Ben.
Well, we're back, and I'm here now with our special guest, Geeta Gandbhir, who is a twice nominated director for this year's Oscars, and we'll talk about those projects and her directing partner for The Devil is Busy, Christalyn Hampton. Welcome to the show. It's very, very much an honor to talk to both of you. I've probably in the last 3-ish days watched both of these films, and they're wonderful. We'll obviously spend most of the time talking about The Devil is Busy, but I do have a couple questions for you, Geeta, at the end for The Perfect Neighbor as well.
Not a problem. Thank you for having us.
Of course. Well, I'll start with what I think is an obvious answer for folks that once they see the film, but before they know it, they may not know it. Just the title and the log line. Maybe a very quick, what is The Devil is Busy about? And then, of course, where the title comes from.
Sure. I can say what The Devil is Busy is about. So The Devil is Busy is representative of a day in the life of a clinic in the South, and it is through the lens of the security guard, who is a deeply Christian woman who spends her days protecting the staff and the clients, as she calls them, from any imminent danger. And outside are a bunch of protesters who are weaponizing the same Christian faith against the protesters. Against the clients. So that is it's a day in the life of these brave women who run this clinic.
And like most films, you always come to the title at the end. And Tracy gives a lot of wonderful sound bites. And The Devil is Busy outside. Most people think when you hear The Devil is Busy, you're talking about abortion, you're thinking about the people inside the clinic. But we made it sort of flip the mirror on the protesters and showing that they are the devils that's weaponizing women and wreaking the havoc just for women coming in to have just health care taken care of.
Now, obviously, I think you shot this in 2023, 2024, so it's post the Roe versus Wade, peel back with the Supreme Court, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. In entering, obviously, a topic like abortion, it's very easy to sensationalize a topic, especially within a 30-minute film. You chose to not have a narrator, really just any other interviewees other than just Tracy and one of the physicians, and then you see the protesters, you see a couple of the patients. Was that intentional to just make sure that the story stood on its own and you didn't over-sensationalize this topic?
Sure. So I can start with a little bit of the origin, because that might help, and then pass to Chris. We basically started about a year prior to when we shot the film, and we at Soledad O'Brien Productions. Soledad is a producer on this, along with Rose Arce, who's her producing partner. They knew they wanted to make a film about the Dobbs decision because they knew it was coming, and about the aftermath. What would be the impact on women? So we spent about a year, along with Amber Faris, who's a producer on this, researching ways into this story. We were looking for the right angle, also for the right people to tell this story in a way that hasn't been done before. I mean, because abortion has been a battle for so long. Sure. Oftentimes we've seen the same stories over and over, but we were looking for a way in, and we stumbled across the clinic in the process and Tracy, and she was fascinating to us because she's someone who again is deeply Christian but believes that healthcare is a right. And enter Christalyn, because she lives in the same. She's my best friend from college. The only Black woman nominated in this category.
Amazing.
But she, you know, we'd worked together before, but of course, but I also, she's local to the area where the clinic exists, so I knew that I wanted her to be part of this.
Now,
And
oh, well, I was just going to ask, you said you stumbled upon the clinic and Tracy just in doing research, or someone had told you about this amazing woman?
no, so during the research, we were reaching out to different organizations, and as Geeta said, our producer Amber was going across the country even and looking at stories, and I was just asked to go and just sort of meet the women at the clinic to see if there was a story there. And I literally went and sat with them for a week, and I was just like, oh my goodness, this clinic is amazing, because it's mostly run by women of color, and it's all women that works at this facility. And I just thought just that was so empowering on its own that I was like, we have to figure out a way to do a story. And I kept going back to Tracy, who is the first person you meet when you arrive. Like, you get through the chaos of the protesters, and Tracy's the first line of defense. And she was just, who you see on camera is who she is in real life. And so it really was an easy way to sort of like get to know her and just build a relationship with her. And I was like, there's something here. And I just remember when I was talking to her one day, after she was praying, and she started crying about how important it is for her to protect the women at the clinic. And I was just like, oh, wow, this is interesting. And so we, working with Geeta and I have worked together on a couple of projects. And so it was easy for us to sort of like really start to hash out what it could be.
And, you mentioned day in the life. Was this shot, how many days were you shooting? Because what's amazing to me, one of the questions I could ask is like, was this just a really bad day or week for her, or is this just every day?
No, I think it's day in and day out. So there was a day we shot a little bit of footage with them for like development purposes. So we were in the clinic. So there was one sort of day of shooting that was prior to like a main shoot, but then we went back and literally it was one day, the verite, like following Tracy from morning to when she left the clinic. And then the interviews, though, were afterwards.
Sure.
So you couldn't do the interviews in the same day and disrupt the work.
Sure. So when viewers see this, they'll understand a little bit of what I'm saying. I mean, within a day, you already described how much she does in terms of wanting to protect the people that are there, but it's a whole routine.
It is.
As well as then the prayer at the end and the tears flowing and just you could see the ultimate, it's like not all heroes wear capes, right? The ultimate sacrifice she's making, where she does understand she's putting herself in danger to protect all these women. In subsequent discussions or previous discussions with Tracy and the team there, we never see an act of violence. We never see the protesters getting overly riled up. But did they talk about situations like that and how regular they are?
Yes, I mean, of course, they've, explained how things sort of roll out, but Tracy's really connected with Homeland Security as well. She's connected with the local police department, so, she's aware of any extra groups or other groups that might come through there. But on the day-to-day, it really depends. A lot of the interactions are usually between the protesters and the guest partners that they come with. That's when the most chaos happens, because you hear someone telling your wife or your girlfriend, God is going to punish you for doing this. It becomes a little confrontational. But Tracy has a way of just managing, like keeping sort of this calm environment so that people feel welcoming and safe.
Yeah. There's probably a few things that when I watched it stood out to me, or were angles that I had never thought of personally myself. Like, one was that you could hear the constant beat drum of the protesters through the walls. Like, so all these women that are waiting to have their procedures, having their procedures, they're just hearing that constant, like, you're going to hell message, right? So how awful. And hopefully everybody realizes that or knew that before I did. The other things that I like, this really interesting, and this is probably a lot replicated in many parts of the country. Like you said earlier, mostly black women that work there, mostly black women patients, and yet the protesters are all white men. So before I see the reason for the Devil's Busy title, originally I was thinking, oh, there could be a race thing in that title as well. But I had never seen it portrayed that way, right? Like, it feels obvious now after watching it. But that to me was like Tracy's explanation, right? That, these men don't look at themselves and don't look for punishment themselves. I'd never really seen that kind of explanation, so simple and so easy to understand, right? And it's a real powerful moment in the film. I'm curious, as you were making this film, how did you earn her trust and the trust of others to just have cameras on them all the time and to be able to capture this footage, and where, obviously, she reveals a lot of sensitive emotions and a lot of, her own thought, which we all know some parts of the world find controversial.
I think it was really important to have Christalyn, who's local to the community. I think that really helped. I mean, Tracy's originally from the Bronx, so we have that, and she's a New Yorker. Christalyn and I both I still live in New York. She was in New York for much of her life, but now she's based, we're in Atlanta. So I think that really helped, I think, and also just, there's often time spent, before without a camera. Chris, do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, that's what I mentioned earlier, is that, just being in the clinic for a week and understanding the routine and really just, being there and allowing her to ask questions, allowing the team, the staff to ask questions, to sort of give them a perspective of what we were trying to do. And like, even with the patients, before we brought out cameras, we would talk to them and explain what we were doing and how we were going to, try to keep their confidentiality, for those women who did not want to be on camera, all of that. So it was us over communicating in a way that usually doesn't happen, but because of the sensitive nature of the film, we felt it was important to do that.
I feel like there are moments in the film where maybe Tracy does have empathy for the protesters. I'm curious in your own points of view, and kind of, you were hearing that drum beat all day too, like, because what's unique about the film is, you said it earlier, both sides are kind of coming from this place of faith and belief, right? And it's just a very different understanding of it, a very different view of it. I'm curious about your own thoughts of the protesters, who were, at least the ones we saw, protesting peacefully, but obviously with a very conservative point of view.
Yeah, and I think too, manipulating things like telling black women that they're participating in black genocide is
Right.
like really out of line. But that's my personal feeling. I think Tracy, because she practices what she preaches, and she believes her God is a forgiving God, understands that everybody is human. So I think that is maybe where any empathy that she has for the protesters, or just the idea that she's like, they are just human beings just like you. They are flawed. Do not let them discourage you. Do not let them get in your spirit, right? That's what she says. But in knowing that, I mean, she also thinks of herself that way. But again, her God is a forgiving God for whatever she may have done. So I think she applies that to everybody, she sees people as human beings. So I think that's where it comes in. She has such an incredible sense of humanity, and we all kind of wanted her to adopt us. Like, can we go home with you? We're like the same age, but she just so fierce and loving and wonderful. You're just drawn to her.
Yeah, and those last few minutes of the film, both what she kind of shares talking to the camera and then her prayer. I mean, did you know you were going to get that when you started shooting? It just like, those are one of those gifts, I think, in filmmaking, right? That it just happened.
Also, her crying.
Yeah.
Talk to me a little bit about how the two of you worked together and shared responsibilities in directing this film.
Sure. So Chris and I have worked together before. Like I said, this is her first film as a director. So we've been joking that while I took the stairs, she took the elevator. To get to this place, it's pretty amazing, and so, but such a thrill. I think so. We have worked together. Chris has been my producer on a number of projects. She's an incredible producer, which also makes her really, really strong in the field. Like she's been, as a producer, she knows, and now as a director knows what to get. And I both have been in the field. I've been directing for about 15 years, but I also was an editor. So there's this sort of, I have a really, really strong eye in the edit. So I think it's kind of complementary, because Christalyn produces while she's directing, and I don't. And then but I can look at something in the edit, and like she has both skills there, and then I have both in post. I direct in the field, but I don't produce. So.
Yeah, and Geeta has always been one of my favorite storytellers. And when she was editing and when she transitioned into directing, when she was still working even in the narrative under Spike Lee, I would go and sometimes watch some of the cuts and stuff. And I think she was in a way trying to like really get me to understand story and visual stories even before I was into the fields fully. So I think that really helped. And, having your friend, to work with your friend, I think there's a way you can communicate. There's a sensibility that you can address things and approach them just in a unique way and sort of be open to what is said.
You can also argue and recover from it. Better.
We don't argue.
You know what I mean? You can kind of yell at each other and then move on because we're like family.
And to that end, I feel like the point of view of this film is really through the eyes of Tracy, and then for the viewer to kind of form their own opinions. So did either of you have a strong point of view that you had to get aligned and weren't aligned on from the very beginning?
I think we were aligned.
Yeah.
We knew we wanted a day in the life. We knew we wanted something immersive and propulsive, where the viewer felt like they were there. I think that's also one of the things that my team at Message Pictures, the type of storytelling we want to do comes from that. And coming from a scripted background, I wanted something that played, that had a real arc that felt like, a bit of a scripted film.
Sure.
So.
Yeah, and I asked you a similar question like this on the red carpet at the Indie Awards recently. But there are I feel like actually as critics, the genre that you see more than anything is documentary shorts because there's so many of them. so it's got to be really exciting, at least from my point of view. But how did it feel when you heard that this film had gotten the Oscar nomination?
I mean, of course, we were thrilled. Geeta's husband and I actually were. So the night before, Geeta and I made a pact that we weren't going to watch. That was our pact. Yeah. But my husband decided to come. He was like, "I'm going to go downstairs and watch." But because he announced it, then I was like wide awake, and then I was like trying to hear anything, and then I just ended up watching. And Geeta's husband and I called each other after we both, realized The Perfect Neighbor and The Devil is Busy happening, and we walked up to Geeta's room and screamed. So that's how Geeta.
My husband, Tom Contu, is the producer on The Perfect Neighbor. Literally came into the room with Christalyn on speaker, screaming. That's how I woke up. The thing that I was told is that I'm the first woman to have two different films I directed nominated at the same time. So that's apparently something new. And that is wonderful. And Christalyn, again, in our category, the only Black woman. So I feel like there's a lot for women. A lot for women.
Yeah, well, and I mean, even if you're not the first person, there's still not many men that have done that either, right? So it's just an amazing accomplishment. It's kind of switching gears a little bit. There's clearly a similarity in your approach to the other film that is nominated, The Perfect Neighbor. Same production company, is that right?
So we have, what's interesting is there is overlap. Okay. So Message Pictures is my company. It's myself, Elisa Payne, and Sam Pollard, and Nakan Kwantu works with us as well. And so we also, with The Devil is Busy, Soledad's company spearheaded it, but we supported. And then with the Perfect Neighbor, they are executive producers. Soledad and Rose are EPs, so we, it's our Message Picture spearheaded, and they supported. So it's they're also nominated for 2 films as producers and executive producers, and it's again women of color. Like it's like a wonderful, wonderful thing.
Yeah, and stylistically, The Perfect Neighbor is a little bit different, but also no narrator, no like interviews. It's just the body cam footage, which makes it really powerful and intense to watch. And I'm telling you, like for now on any documentary I want to watch, I want no narrators, I want no talking heads. It just changes the category in many ways. So I compliment the style of filmmaking.
Thank you.
The Perfect Neighbor. How did well, let's talk about the title because here it's applied in a ironic sort of way, I imagine.
Sure. So the title comes from Susan Lawrence, who, ends up committing a terrible crime in the film, and she refers to herself as the perfect neighbor. Yeah. She's like, I'm quiet, I don't bother anyone, I'm the perfect neighbor. And for us, it was the irony of that statement. Again, the way The Devil is Busy sort of flips the lens. We're flipping the lens on her, and I think it's how most people imagine themselves. Like when they see themselves as not being the problem, right? We all see ourselves as not being the issue when there's a dispute. So we wanted to highlight that, and it was meant to be a very ironic title.
And I think again another commonality between the 2 films that I really love is there is a lot about race in both of these films, but it's not overt. It's not like a narrator telling you how racist people are being, but you just see it happen and unfold, and that's, I think, again, makes it all the more powerful and makes it really stick in the viewer's mind. So it just, again, very beautiful filmmaking. Congratulations to you both. Now, we are United by Rice, which is like a multicultural podcast. So, kind of pivoting to my last couple of questions, just how do you bring, for each of you, your kind of cultural background, your identities as women of color into your filmmaking and into the types of stories that you want to tell?
For me, I really support telling the unknown stories and sort of shining a light on the unknown heroes, or the unseen heroes. And I think that's something that's important in empowering women, to be able to showcase these stories in a compelling way, in a honest way, so people can sort of like look at themselves and reflect differently than what someone been beat over the head, like this is what you're supposed to think or this is what you're supposed to do. And as a Black woman, I just feel like it's important that we just keep telling these stories, particularly in a time where our history is trying to be erased. Like we see it erased every day in the news, removing plaques about slavery or whatever as it didn't exist, or removing certain books like The Bluest Eyes because it shouldn't be in the library. I think, it's important for as a storyteller, as a filmmaker, to make sure those stories are still told.
And a really quick question before Geeta answers. Has Tracy gotten to come on the road with you during the tour or film festivals and receive that big hero's welcome and applause?
Yes, she has joined us on a few of the festivals. She was definitely there for the premiere in New Orleans. She was at Doc NYC. We were just at Spelman. And it's important to have her there as well. Because she was like my story. I didn't think my story would matter. I didn't think I had an interesting story. It was me. It's just me doing my job. So I think for her to receive the love is so important. And it's like us giving back. Like, your heart is big. We see you.
Yeah, that's amazing. It's amazing. And then Geeta.
So for me, I think I came up with as Spike Lee and Sam Pollard. They were my mentors, and the first film I ever worked on was Malcolm X. And I think for me, having, grown up, I'm the child of immigrants, but knowing what it is to be, to living in a white dominant society, sort of having had the experience, again, not saying I didn't have a lovely childhood, but still knowing what it is to be other, be otherized. I think it's really important to me also to flip the lens on that and to show, as Christalyn said, perspectives that we don't see, and to elevate marginalized voices. But I also think in documentary, I'm very interested in decolonizing documentary, because for documentary, and this is film in general, like all film needs to be decolonized, but documentary particularly was a really colonial exercise at its origin, particularly when it comes to European filmmaking. You have films like Nanook of the North, where there's an incredible imbalance of power with the filmmaker and the community they go into, and the filmmaker is not of that community, and that's problematic. And then and the lens that they show is, again, a white gaze. And you had people like Zora Neale Hurston who were making documentaries about their own community, and it's a completely different perspective. So I think for us, in all the stories we tell, scripted or documentary, we really want to carry that legacy, that's the mantra, that we decolonize what we're doing and shed different light, and use a different lens that is authentic, that is, again, we can make entertaining, everything we can make can be entertaining. It's like the intersection of art and activism, doesn't mean things have to be boring. But I think that, again, that is sort of for us a mission, and that's how we do right by our people.
That's great, and we're in kinship with you and our purpose with this podcast. I will 100% concur that neither of these films are boring in any way. They were two of the best documentaries I've seen this year, so congratulations.
Thank you.
Final question for you. We are united by rice. You, after a long shoot, after a hard day, is there a rice dish, could be rice-based noodles, that you just crave as your comfort food?
Wow.
My husband makes a really good curry chicken and rice dish. So yeah, he used like a yellow rice kind of. I think he puts turmeric in it, and then mix it in with the curry. It's really tasty. He's a good cook. I'm not, but
this sounds delicious, and you're lucky to have him.
Yes.
So I'm also obsessed with rice in all forms, and I think that right. So one of my favorite things is like the rice noodle soup, like an excellent rice noodle soup, particularly with a garlic chip chili paste.
Actually,
I eat that stuff straight out of the jar. But I put it in everything, and so does my whole family. So we fight over it. But the rice noodles with broth, with vegetables, and maybe chicken or duck, and then all the that's my. I would eat that. I eat that for breakfast. Actually,
I feel like Thailand, and then keep going south. That whole region's got that style of noodle soup down. It's wonderful.
Yeah, like in Cambodia, that's breakfast.
Yeah,
I had
exactly.
And that's all I wanted. Yeah, so.
It's been a pleasure to talk to both of you. I hope to meet you both again soon, and congratulations, and really good luck at the Oscars.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.